frog. Once upon a time there was a woman who had 3 sons. Though they were peasants, they were well off, for the soil on which they lived was fruitful and yielded rich crops. One day, they all 3 were told their mother that they meant to get married, to which their mother replied, "Do as you like, but see that you choose good housewives who will look carefully after your affairs, and to make certain of this, take with you these 3 skeins of flax and give it to them to spin. Whoever spins the best will be my favorite daughter-in-law." Now, the 2 eldest sons had already chosen their wives, so they took the flax from their mother and carried it off with them, to have it spun, as she had said. But the youngest son was puzzled for what to do with his skein, as he knew no girl, never having spoken to any, to whom to give it to be spun. He wandered hither and thither, and asking the girls that he met if they would undertake the task for him. But at the sight of the flax they laughed in his face and mocked him. Then, in his despair, he left their villages and went into the country, and, seating himself on the bank of a pond, he began to cry bitterly. Suddenly, there was this noise close beside him, and a frog jumped out of the water on the bank and asked him, "Why are you crying?" The youth told her of his trouble, and how his brothers would bring home linen spun for them by their promised wives, but that no one would spin his thread. Then the frog answered, "Do not weep on that account. Give me the thread, and I will spin it for you." And, having said this, she took it out of his hand and hopped back into the water. And the youth went back, not knowing what would happen next. In a short time, the 2 elder brothers came home, and their mother asked to see their linen that had been woven out of the skeins of flax she had given them. They all 3 left the room, and in a few minutes the 2 eldest returned, bringing with them the linen that had been spun by their chosen wives. But the youngest brother was greatly troubled, for he had nothing to show for the skein of flax that he had been given. Sadly, he betook himself to the pond, and sitting down on the bank, once more began to weep. Flop! And the frog appeared out of the waters close beside him. "Take this," she said. "There is linen that I have spun for you." Oh, you may imagine how delighted the youth was. She put the linen in his hands, and he took it straight back to his mother, who was so pleased that she declared she had never seen linen so beautifully spun, and that it was far finer and whiter than the webs that the 2 elder brothers had brought home. Then she turned to her sons and said, "But this is not enough. My sons, I must have another proof of what sort of wives you have chosen. In the house there are 3 puppies. Each of you take one and give it to the woman who you mean to bring home as your wife. She must train it and bring it up. Whichever dog turns out the best, its mistress will be my favorite daughter-in-law." So the young men set out on their different ways, each taking a puppy with them. The youngest, again not knowing where to go, returned to the pond, and sat down once more on the bank, and began to weep. Flop! And close beside him he saw the frog. "Why are you weeping?" she said. Then he told her his difficulty, and that he did not know to whom he should take the puppy. "Give it to me," she said, "and I will bring it up for you." And seeing that the youth hesitated, she took the little creature out of his arms and disappeared with it into the pond. Poor puppy. The weeks and months passed, so one day the mother said she would like to see how the dogs had been trained by her future daughters-in-law. The two eldest sons departed and returned shortly, leading with them two great mastiffs, who growled so fiercely and looked so savage that the mere sight of them made the mother tremble with fear. The youngest son, as was now his custom, went to the pond and called on the frog to come to his rescue. In a minute she was at his side, bringing with her the most lovely little dog, which he put into his arms. It sat up and begged with its paws and went through the prettiest tricks, and almost human in the way it understood and did what it was told. Oh, in high spirits the youth carried it off to his mother. As soon as she saw it, she exclaimed, "This is the most beautiful little dog I have ever seen. You are indeed fortunate, my son. You have got a pearl of a wife." Then, turning to the others, she said, "Here are 3 shirts. Take them to your chosen wives. Whoever sews the best will be my favorite daughter-in-law." So the young men set out once more, and again this time the frog was much better and clearly the neatest. This time the mother said, "Now that I'm content with the test I gave, I want you to go and fetch home your brides, and I will prepare a wedding feast." You may imagine what the youngest brother felt on hearing these words. Whence was he to fetch a bride? Would the frog be able to help him with this new difficulty? With a bowed head and feeling very sad, he sat down on the edge of the pond. Flop! And once more the faithful frog was beside him. "What is troubling you so much?" she asked him. And then the youth told her everything. "Will you take me for a wife?" she asked. "What should I do with you as a wife?" he replied, wondering at her strange proposal. "Once more, will you have me or will you not?" she said. "I will neither have you nor will I refuse you," he said. At this, the frog disappeared, and the next minute the youth beheld a lovely little chariot drawn by 2 tiny ponies sitting on the road. The frog was holding the carriage door open for him to step in. "Come with me," she said, and he got up and followed her into the chariot. As they drove along the road, they met 3 witches. The first by which was blind, the second was hunchbacked, and the third had a large thorn in her throat. When the 3 witches beheld the chariots with the frog seated pompously upon the cushions, they broke into such fits of laughter that the eyelids of the blind one burst open, and she recovered her sight. The hunchback rolled about on the ground in laughter until her back became straight. And the roar of laughter, the thorn fell out of the throat of the third witch. The first thought was to return the frog, who had unconsciously been the means of curing them of their misfortunes. The first witch waved her magic wand over the frog and changed her into the loveliest girl that had ever been seen. The second witch waved the wand over the tiny chariot and ponies, and they were turned into a beautiful, large carriage with prancing horses, and a coachman on the seat. The third witch gave the girl a magic purse filled with money, and having done this, the witches disappeared, and the youth with his lovely bride drove to his mother's home. Great was the delight of the mother at her youngest son's good fortune. A beautiful house was built for them. She was the favorite daughter-in-law, and everything well with them, and they lived happily ever after.